Hello, everyone. My name is Shannon Prather, and I'm the marketing cultivator at GIS Inc. I'd like to thank you for joining us for the first episode in our Going Beyond Release Ready with Esri's Geospatial Cloud series. In this mini-series, we'll showcase 3 of the hottest Esri technologies in our countdown to the Esri UC 2019. Today's episode is titled ArcGIS Indoors, Smart Operations with Maps, IPS, and Wayfinding. We'll explain why mapping indoors is important, talk about Esri's ArcGIS Indoors solution, and how you can start your own indoor initiatives. We encourage you to post questions throughout the webinar and appreciate you taking a minute to answer the survey questions at the conclusion of this episode. This webinar is being recorded. Now, without further delay, I'm excited to welcome our presenter, Steve Mulberry, Senior Solution Architect and Sales Engineer at GIS Inc. Steve has over 28 years experience in GIS, creating and architecting enterprise systems. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you all endure the webinar. Steve?
I thought only dads can do bad dad jokes, Shannon. Awesome. So let's get started here. I wanted to jump off this presentation with maybe kind of setting the stage here, and why should you listen to me? Why should you listen to GIS Inc. when it comes to indoors and indoors technology? And so I'm going to do a quick run through on why listen to us, and then we'll jump right into the presentation here. So first off, GIS Inc. we've been business partners since 1991, and when Esri switched over to kind of coordinate and organize their business partner program, we became a platinum partner, and we take great pride in that. It takes a lot of effort and work and dedication on our side to become that platinum business partner, and we get a lot of value out of that from Esri. So it means a lot to us, to our customers, and we provide a lot of value because of that to those who we engage with. We also do a lot of early adopting of technology. We do a lot of R&D within our company. We do a lot of hackathons and dev meetups and things like that. And 2 that I want to kind of highlight here are we developed this thing called geometry. Now I know that doesn't mean probably anything to you guys on the presentation here, but geometry was built about 7 years ago, and it was our first approach into indoor positioning systems and analytic engines. And we built this solution that was later purchased by one of the world's largest luminary companies that deals with smart LED lighting, and that's Acuity. So we pride ourselves on early adopting of technology, trying it out, testing out, keeping ourselves in pace with what we see in the industry, pushing the envelope in the GIS space here. And also, I want to point out, which I think is interesting for this discussion today, is that we were the first ones to sort of integrate an Internet of Things technology within the CityWorks platform. We're also a platinum business partner with CityWorks, which makes it a really nice fit to bring the Esri technology and the CityWorks technology together. And we built this, what we call a Work Smarter integration, where we take Internet of Things and we can trigger service requests and work orders inside of that platform. Again, which is really going to be important as we talk about indoors and how we manage assets and work in an indoor space, and have the indoors technology along with IoT and sensors and other technologies trigger and help us work in that space. We spent years and years designing, deploying, and managing ArcGIS enterprise deployments from small to very large. We've got a lot of experience and intimate knowledge in that space. And over the years, we've built this partner ecosystem where we have tested and worked with different indoor technologies, indoor positioning systems, and we've got this ecosystem of partners that we feel very confident with and comfortable with their technology, which is a good thing, because then we can share that knowledge and share that information with you as you start to think about coming into this indoor space. And then finally, we have over 90, almost 100 now, architects, engineers, developers, analysts, all focused on the Esri platform and bringing that enterprise class environment into your organization and help you get the most out of that platform. That's all we do. We eat, sleep, and drink the Esri platform, and we know how to integrate that and put that in place within any kind of organization. And I wanted to kind of show you our sort of our footprint, our landscape. We're about 146 employees now. You can kind of see down at the bottom where we kind of separate out with the different types of technology expertise. We are a distributed company, which makes it really nice because we can find really good talent across the country and bring them into the GIS Inc. family to help us with our goals and our aspirations there. So why did we use this title, Going Beyond Release Ready with Esri's Geospatial Cloud? So I think it's important that as we, coming close to UC, we all get excited about getting out there and learning, and especially this year being the 50th anniversary, it's going to be an exciting time at the UC. We want to kind of take these webinar series and kind of highlight, as Shannon mentioned, some 3 technologies that we feel have a really nice play in today's GIS environment, right? And we think it's important to help you understand what does it mean to be release ready from an Esri's perspective and from a business partner's mindset here. So there's kind of 3 things I want to talk about here real quick before we get into the indoors. And the first one is this platinum partnership. We do not take this lightly. We spent a lot of time and effort and education and knowledge within our organization to become this platinum partner, so that we can help you as customers build upon your ArcGIS implementations and deployments. If it's integrating with other business systems, right, implementing those enterprise system classes across your organization. And one of our key goals is taking that information, that knowledge, and creating those actionable insights from that location-based data. So we take a lot of pride in becoming a platinum business partner, which I think is only like 15 in the whole country, if not the whole world. So that's kind of one aspect of it. The second one is, Esri really prides itself on working with business partners and helping us become release ready, and so that we can then again take that information, that knowledge, and pass it on to you. So being release ready means that we're keeping pace with all the Esri technology. We're in constant contact and communication with the product leads and product managers and those kinds of folks at Esri to make sure that we're ready and that we're equipped with the right understanding and the knowledge and the capabilities to then pass that on to you. We have on staff industry expertise within these areas, and again, it's our responsibility and duty then to pass that information on to you and to others that we work with. So there's this platinum partner concept, there's this release ready designation, and then Esri also has these specialty designations where we kind of look at specific skills and experience on deploying certain parts of the technology. Like you can see some here on the screen, ArcGIS Online, the marketplace, local government, things, the different versions of the platform as it comes out. So we're very skilled and experienced in those platforms. We constantly deploy and deliver solutions on top of the platform, and we provide those value-added services to then get you, the customer and the client, more engaged and more get intimate with the platform, the different tools and solutions that come with the whole geospatial cloud umbrella, all that's offered there. So we think this kind of this 3-pronged step here really positions us really well to help guide and direct our customers down the right path on how to implement and use the technology in their organization. Which brings us to our topic today about indoors. So why does indoors really matter? The EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, did a study, and on average, the average American spends about 87% of their time indoors. And if you take that number, they extended the survey, and we as human beings, on average, spend another 6% inside of vehicles like automobiles, planes, trains, and things like that. So really 93% of our time is spent indoors. And so it's really surprising to me that how we've as a GIS community have mastered the outdoor space from a GIS perspective, right? We know how to map it, we know how to analyze it, we really know how to control the information from an outdoor perspective. But from an indoor perspective, it seems like we're still lagging in that space, right? We still see a lot of organizations that are using paper and pen, or They have the evacuation routes plastered on the wall, and that's really the only map they have that represents the indoor space. And they're using project files, or they're managing their workspace in a way that is not conducive to the way we're doing it from the outdoor space. And we need to bring the GIS from outdoors to indoors, and because it's a space that we spend a lot of time in. So there's got to be some ways for us to leverage the technology from an indoors perspective, which brings us to ArcGIS Indoors. And so I'm going to do a quick introduction to what this is. This was released around the Business Summit this year, the Dev Summit at Esri. It's a new solution, and that's an important term to kind of keep in mind here. A solution means that you get everything you need to run indoors. So it's this, indoor mapping and wayfinding and location tracking solution. It's a solution that provides indoor operations and mobility in both 2D and a 3D world. It's a solution that provides sharing and collaboration through mobile applications and web applications and desktop applications. And it also brings a technology that allows you to have accurate indoor positioning capabilities and through iBeacon technology. And I want to focus on that here for a second. That's really important, because when we talk about an indoor space, it's one thing to have data and maps that represent our space, but it's another thing to be able to look at myself as I move throughout that space, or monitor the activities that take place in that space, if I can't have some kind of indoor positioning system and the capabilities that brings to the table. So around the same time that Esri introduced ArcGIS Indoors, they also announced the acquisition of a company called Indoors, which was key, I think, to this whole indoor solution, because what Indoors brought to the table here was a combination of three technologies. So Indoors uniquely took the iBeacon technology, right, that Bluetooth signaling concept. They brought sensor fusion. Sensor fusion is like on our cell phones, we have all these sensors that allow us to, or allow the device to track our movement, our mobility, our speed, those kinds of things, our direction, our accelerometers, those kinds of stuff. They brought the iBeacon technology, the sensor fusion, and this thing called SLAM technology. So SLAM stands for simultaneous localization and mapping, which is a big word for saying it's an easy way to map your indoor space. So Indoors brought these three technologies in and allowed the ArcGIS Indoors solution then to provide this blue dot capability. Show me where I'm at in the space, help me map out my space quicker, and then integrate the two things together. So now I can see myself, I can see others, I can share my location, I can look at patterns and trends and how the space is actually being used by us humans, because we do spend 80% of our time, 87% of our time indoor space. So this is a key component to ArcGIS Indoors, and it really helps solidify that solution to get that blue dot that we need. So look at some of the capabilities that Indoors has. So as part of this solution, there's going to be some tools and some ways for you to curate your data, right? Make your data, get that information together, create routable networks. We've got to be able to get ourselves from point A to point B. We've got to be able to find do wayfinding and navigation and routing. So those tools, those capabilities are going to be built into the solution. Both web and mobile, right? So I can do the same kind of activity on both sides, and I can have a sort of a responsive experience, even if I'm using the web on like a tablet device. That mobile indoor positioning, right, gives us that ability, and that's through that Indoors technology. Device tracking, location sharing, those kinds of things are all going to be part of the platform, the solution ArcGIS Indoors. And from a usability standpoint, there's really two user types that kind of fall into place here with the Indoors. There's those that are going to be responsible for curating the data. Those are going to be making the base maps and the floor plans and the routable networks and the points of interest and those kinds of things. And then there's going to be those who use it, either the occupants of that space, the staff, the subcontractors, those that have a purpose of being there and need to be able to coordinate and collaborate and share information. And then there's those that just come to frequently the space, whether it's a visitor or a guest. Maybe we're talking about a hospital campus or an airport or a school environment, whatever it might be. There's that just come, they need to get around the space and then leave. So there's sort of two types of users that make up and that are part of the platform. And so speaking of the platform, the ArcGIS Indoors, let's kind of talk about that from a high level view. So ArcGIS, it's all built with the enterprise, right? This is the platform. ArcGIS Enterprise is the platform, so everything plugs and plays right nicely into the platform. And you get some components. The first component is this thing called Indoors Desktop, which is basically an information model. This is the data schema that's going to help you build, manage, and support the floor plans, the common area maps, the points of interest, the network, the routable network, those kinds of things all are built in this nice, compact, and optimized information model. And you get the tools to help you manage it and build it and convert it, right? And we're going to talk about that here in a second. So you get this set of tools and model for desktop. Then you get Indoors Mobile, which is that mobile application that's a native application that runs on iOS or Android devices, which gives you the capability for doing wayfinding and navigation and data sharing and device location and all those kinds of things. But more importantly, that blue dot capability, right? Be able to see my location on there, again, through that Indoors positioning system. And then the third component is the Indoors Web, which is a very rich, responsive web application that does the same things that the mobile app can do, from a wayfinding and navigation and data collection and sharing and those kinds of things, collaboration mode. But it's a web application. It can be run on your tablets or your phones and those kinds of things, and it runs off of those services that are all supported on the enterprise platform. And so the glue here to this, right, those three components, desktop, mobile, and web, and the ability to really leverage the indoor space is an indoor positioning system. And so we talked about that real quickly with Indoor. So right out of the box, you'd be able to support that iBeacon protocol technology with the Indoors component built into the solution itself. But Esri's always looking to ways to incorporate other technologies. So, you don't quote me on this, right? Because these things are still in the mix and stuff, and as the technology improves, but I know Esri's looking at things like Acuity Brands. Remember, I talked to you about that geometry solution that we built early on. Well, Acuity Brands bought that technology from us, and they embedded that indoor positioning system inside their smart LED lighting. So you have that they call VLC, or visual light communication. They have Bluetooth sensors. It makes a really nice indoor positioning system. Google has one out there, Cisco, Aruba. Each one of them use different technologies, whether it's Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or smart LED lighting. But these are the big boys. These are the big players in the industry. And I would suspect that at some point, right, these might all be part of that platform. But what about the other market share out there? Those that that aren't sort of the big boys. That's where we come in. So GIS Inc. has been building this thing called a GeoIoT bridge, which allows us to communicate to those other vendors out there like AccuAir and BlueLoc and those other indoor positioning technologies that work very nicely and very well, and can be a complement to this platform. So either way you look at it, whether if you already have beacons in your space, or if you already have smart LED lighting, or you're using Cisco or Aruba or those other things, there's a way to integrate that indoor positioning system into the ArcGIS Indoor solution, so you can get that blue dot, so you can start to track and monitor and look at trends and patterns within your space and do that analytical analysis on how your workspace is being used and utilized. So this is sort of the holistic view of the ArcGIS Indoors platform, and I want to kind of dive a little bit deeper in here. And I almost didn't bring this next slide in because it is a little technical, but I wanted to give you an understanding of the components that make Indoors work. And it runs all on the enterprise, and ArcGIS Enterprise comes out of the box with the four main components there: the web adapter, the portal, the server, and the data store. Well, on top of those components, the ArcGIS Indoor solution comes with also GeoVent and Network Analyst extension to allow us to do that real-time ingestion of that indoor positioning data and allow us to do the wayfinding, the routing, and navigation through the Network Analyst capabilities. And so those users, those occupants and visitors that would use that web solution, right, the Indoors web component, would come through that enterprise portal entry point, but utilizing this technology in the back end. The map makers, right, those who are going to be responsible for creating the data and managing and working with it, we'll get ArcGIS Pro and these extensions to help with that. And then the Indoors mobile for all the other users, right, from a mobile perspective. And this is the components, and this is what's behind the scenes running ArcGIS Indoors. But as a consumer, as you using ArcGIS Indoors, you don't have to worry about all the licensing here. What you need to come up with is what's the square footage of the space that I'm interested in and what I want to manage. And then Esri says, all right, here's ArcGIS Indoors, and you get enough desktop, you get enough mobile, you get enough web, you get enough of the platform to make it run within that square footage space. So it takes a lot of the headache out of trying to keep track of licensing and things like that. It's just a solution. That solution implies that you get everything you need in order to successfully implement and deploy Indoors within your space. And I want to pause here just for a second, because the indoor space is, I guess, the key here, right? And we always talk about, from a GIS perspective, data is king, right? Good data helps provide downstream all the solutions and applications and anything that interact with it. And the same thing here with ArcGIS Indoors. Everything starts with the data. And so the information model is kind of built from this hierarchical approach where we deal with the site, the facility, the levels, the sections, zones, and units, and the model helps us build these floor plans or the common areas or our points of interest, our networks, and not just normal networks, but routable networks, so I can get from point A to point B. I can have that navigation experience as I work with the mobile devices. I can manage my events. I can have these tracking zones that help me analyze the space better. The information model is the key here, and getting data into that model will then help facilitate and support the web and the mobile applications that's part of the indoor solution. So I want to talk about this just for a second, because this is the most important part. And typically folks would probably start off from a CAD file or some kind of CAD data to get started. You don't have to do that. You can have a scanned document. In some places that literally we've ripped the evacuation route off of the wall, scan that in, and use that as a starting point. But the tools that are available to you from the ArcGIS Pro standpoint are going to help you migrate any of your data into the information model. So going from a CAD to the information model is literally using some tools to help us go from floor plans to Indoors, helping create our points of interest, creating our networks, generating those paths and those transitions from one floor to another floor. All those tools are part of the solution. You get those with the ArcGIS Pro. So those who are responsible for making the maps, well, you have all the tools needed to do that. Now, it's important to understand too that not all CAD files are created equally. And so there's going to be a level of effort here to get from that CAD or that scanned document, or even from scratch, into that information model. And so typically we kind of look and analyze your CAD data and start off with, do you have good CAD data? Do you follow those American Institute of Architects standards, right? Do you have separate layers? Are you taking care of your undershoots and overshoots? Are your polygons closed? Do you have a good annotation and those kinds of things? That helps drive the adoption in from the CAD world into the GIS space, right? If you have anything less than that, maybe you have some okay CAD data, well, there might be some cleanup that's going to be needed within the CAD environment first before you migrate that into the information model, and then some minor post migration support there. And then if you just have bad CAD data, and we've seen it out there, everything's in one layer, they don't care about undershoots and overshoots and closed polygons and all those kinds of things. At that point, you just got to take one drawing file at a time and just kind of work through that use case, which is why it's important to kind of ahead of time define the area that you're working with and the things you're going to be doing. So real quickly, I just want to kind of show you some of the examples of the Indoors mobile. There's the ability to do wayfinding, searching for places to go, people to visit, rooms to navigate to. Then you get that navigational and that experience that you would if you were outdoors, going from point A to point B. You get the same thing indoors. You get that indoor positioning system capability through the iBeacon technology. It's supported on both iOS and Android. You get the capability of doing information sharing through Survey 123, direct connections to Survey 123. So that collecting and sharing and it's all built around this mobile map package so that the data is on the device, it's local, it's very performant and works very well. Same thing with the web component. You have the same kind of capabilities. You can do wayfinding. You can look for people, places, things, assets, equipment, navigate and route yourself to those places. Sharing the information, gathering data. The same 311 experience, the same Survey 123 integration can take place here. It's responsive. The difference here is that instead of a map package, though, it's hitting directly off those hosted services. The same hosted services that build the map package for the mobile device. So everything stays in sync and is ready to use and can be scaled accordingly and built upon as needed. So how do you get started? What are some of the things that you're going to need to think about, or where we or Esri would kind of guide you down this path? So basically, we got to start off with your space. We got to look at your area. We got to kind of determine the square footage, what kind of indoor positioning system you may have now or may want to incorporate in your space, or sort of do this requirements gathering exercise. There's going to be the installation and configuration of the indoors solution. Again, it's all encompassing, so everything you need comes with the indoor solution. And then the next few steps is all about the data. It's collecting that data, it's getting that CAD data into the information model, it's creating that floor plan, it's creating the base maps, the common area, everything around the outdoor space as well, because if you're going from building to building, you want to have a nice, pretty common area base map to go with your indoor floor plans. Points of interest are key here, being able to identify all the points of interest that you want to navigate to and search on and work for that respect, even the assets and things like that you want to work with. Network creation is a big piece here, and those four middle tasks there are the key here. Getting the data into a format that then supports the configuring and deploying of the maps and applications. The maps and applications, the maps that and services that support the web and mobile devices. And then if we're deploying an IPS, then that becomes a big discussion point as well. So in closing here, let me kind of talk about again and wrap this up. Why does indoors matter? Well, we can talk about all the different capabilities and the needs that take place from an indoor perspective. Wayfinding, navigation, security methods can be implemented. Location-based services can be pushed, right? You know, those coupons or those notifications or those messages that need to be pushed to the end users, the occupants, and those people that come and visit your space. Asset tracking, workforce solutions, right? Tying into things like CityWorks or Survey 123 or other things that help drive work orders and work requests. Retail analytics, healthcare, manufacturing, airports, campuses. There's lots of areas where this technology, this solution can be deployed and used right out of the box, right? Because we do spend a lot of time indoors, and there's a need and a desire to better support and better equip our indoor spaces. And so with that, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Esri and the Indoors team, who's going to be holding an Indoors webinar that's going to kind of highlight the things that are coming at UC and the new release of Indoors. It's going to be real exciting to see the new things that are coming out. If you get a chance to review this before the UC, and then come visit us at booth 919 at the UC. And with that, Shannon, I will turn it over to you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Steve. And unfortunately, that's all the time we have, folks. So we'll follow up with those who submitted questions via email. So look for those responses soon. If you guys intend to attend Esri's user conference in July, we invite you to stop by GIS Inc.'s booth 919 to meet Steve in person. Thank you all so much for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.